All right, so get this, we're diving into AI companions. Not just like any AI, but the ones that are meant to be like your friend, your confidant, maybe even more.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a future where your BFF might be powered by algorithms. Kind of sounds like sci-fi, right?
What's really interesting is that this isn't really some distant future anymore. You've given us all this stuff, research papers, market analyses, and even like real user reviews from apps that are already out there. Millions of people are using these things. And so the big question we're kind of tackling today is, can AI actually help with something as complex and human as loneliness?
Yeah, and I mean to add to that, you gave us this pretty crazy statistic. Loneliness is a bigger health risk than obesity.
Wow.
It's like a silent epidemic. It's affecting people everywhere. So if these AI companions can really offer some relief, we could be talking about a major breakthrough here.
Absolutely. To understand this better, you give us some super interesting data from this AI companion app, Cleverbot. They shared actual conversations. And get this, almost 5% of the users specifically mentioned feeling lonely.
Wow. And not only that, but those people were having these longer, more engaged conversations. It's almost like they were drawn to the AI, because they were lonely. Like they were
Yeah.
actively seeking a connection that they were missing.
That's such a good point, and it raises this really interesting question. Were these users just looking for a place to express themselves without being judged, like something that maybe they have a hard time finding in real life?
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe the fact that they were talking to an AI, it gave them that anonymity, and they could just be more open.
You also had us look at user reviews from other AI companion apps. We saw a similar thing. Reviews mentioning loneliness gave higher ratings, especially for apps known for being like empathetic.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets tricky, right? Are people who are lonely just like nicer with their ratings?
Well,
Or are they actually getting something real out of these apps? The fact that apps that were all about empathy got higher ratings from lonely users, it suggests maybe they're finding something, you know, like some real comfort. It's definitely worth looking into.
totally. And so this leads us to this big question. Can AI actually help with loneliness?
Right.
You gave us all these studies that tested it directly, like the impact of AI companions on loneliness.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that stood out to you from those studies?
Honestly, the most surprising thing to me was that interacting with an AI actually reduced loneliness, just as much as talking to a real person.
Wow.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the evidence is pretty strong.
I was surprised too, and you found something else that's like even more interesting. People consistently underestimated how much the AI would help. They went in thinking it wouldn't be that great, but then their mood actually improved a lot afterwards.
Exactly. And what's even more impressive is that it wasn't just a quick fix. You gave us one study that followed people for a whole week. And those who chatted with an AI every day, they consistently felt less lonely over time.
Yeah.
Like it became part of their routine. They found comfort in that daily interaction.
You even highlighted a quote from one participant who described it as a rather pleasant routine. It makes you wonder, could that predictability, of the AI be part of what makes it appealing?
Mhm.
Especially for people who maybe find human interactions unpredictable or like even overwhelming.
That's a great question. It seems like that consistency, like knowing what to expect from the AI, it might provide some stability and comfort. And that can be really appealing, especially if you're struggling with loneliness.
So it wasn't just this quick fix. These AI companions were actually having a lasting impact, which brings us to this next point, like what's driving this impact? You had us dig into research on what makes these AI companions work, and it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't just about being smart.
You're right. We tend to think of AI in terms of its technical abilities, like how good it is at processing information and giving accurate answers. But when it comes to dealing with loneliness, the research is saying it's not about the AI being a genius, it's something else.
It was about this feeling of being heard. Like when you think about it, it makes sense. We all want that, right? To feel like someone's really listening, someone gets what we're going through. But can an AI really give us that?
Well, the research you had me look at suggests that maybe to some extent they can. When the AI was designed to be caring, friendly and empathetic, people said they felt much more understood. And that feeling of being understood was linked to them feeling less lonely.
So it's not about like replacing human connection entirely, but maybe it's more about, supplementing it, especially for people who are having a hard time finding that connection in their daily lives. You had some really good examples of how this could be helpful for certain groups.
Yeah, definitely. Think about people who are isolated because of an illness or disability, or even just people who live in really remote places. An AI companion could be like a lifeline for them, just a consistent presence that helps them feel less alone.
You also mentioned AI companions could be good for people with social anxiety, like it could be a safe space for them to practice social interaction and maybe even build up their confidence.
Exactly, like a stepping stone to connect with people in the real world.
Mm.
It's important to remember, though, that AI companions are tools, right? Like any tool, they can be used in different ways.
That's true, but some of the research you had us go through did bring up some concerns, like potential downsides. For example, could relying too much on AI companions actually make people more socially isolated? Could it make it harder for them to form real human connections down the line?
Those are definitely big questions. AI companions can offer companionship, they can offer support, but we have to make sure they're not replacing real-world interactions entirely.
Hmm.
We need to find that balance, using technology to make human connection better, not to replace it.
One paper you highlighted talked about the risk of people developing unhealthy attachments to their AI companions. I mean, it makes sense. These AI are designed to be engaging,
Yeah.
empathetic, even charming. I can see how someone could become really emotionally dependent.
Especially if they're already feeling lonely or isolated.
Exactly.
It's like too much of a good thing, right?
Mm.
AI companionship can be really great, but we need to be aware of the potential for people to become too dependent. This is where the developers need to be transparent. They need to be upfront about the limitations of AI companions. Make it clear that they can offer support, but they can't replace the complexity of human relationships.
You also had us look into data privacy, which is, I mean, huge. These AI companions are basically learning machines.
Right.
They're taking in everything we tell them, learning our habits, our preferences, even our, deepest fears and desires. It made me think, what happens to all that data? Who has access to it?
That's a critical point. Data privacy is super important, especially with something as personal as AI companionship. People are sharing really sensitive information with these AI, often even more than they would with a human therapist.
And it makes sense. There's a certain level of anonymity when you're talking to an AI. You're not looking someone in the eyes. So it might feel easier to be vulnerable, to really open up.
Exactly. That's why developers have to be super careful and transparent about how they're handling user data. There need to be really clear policies in place so users understand how their data is being used, who can see it, and how it's being protected. We can't let this technology become a way for people to exploit data.
It's such a fine line, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
trying to balance the benefits of AI companions with the potential risks. Like
Yeah.
we're in this uncharted territory.
You're absolutely right. It's exciting, but it's also a time to be cautious. And it's important to remember that we're still just starting to understand this technology. There's so much more research that needs to be done, so many questions we still have.
Speaking of questions, you pointed out something that really got me thinking. This whole AI companion thing, it might be driven by something bigger, like a deeper societal issue.
Right.
The fact that more and more people are lonely.
That's a really key point. The fact that millions of people are turning to AI for companionship, it tells us there's something missing. Like there's a gap in our social fabric. We live in a world that's becoming more and more digital, more and more disconnected. Technology has connected us in some ways, but it's also created new ways for us to be isolated.
It's like we want connection, we crave it, but we're having trouble finding it in ways that are meaningful. It makes you wonder, are AI companions a symptom of this loneliness epidemic, or are they a potential solution?
It's kind of a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? AI companions might provide some relief, but they can't really address the root causes of loneliness. We need to look at the bigger picture, the breakdown of communities, the decline of social institutions, the pressure of this hyper-connected world we live in.
And you gave us some like really thought-provoking articles on exactly that. It feels like we're at this crossroads. On one hand, we could use AI to help people who are struggling, maybe even build some understanding. But then there's that risk, of becoming even more isolated, more reliant on machines, and we lose sight of how important human connection is.
You put it perfectly. It really comes down to how we decide to bring these AI companions into our lives. Are we using them to connect more or to avoid connection? That's what we need to ask ourselves.
That you're saying there's no easy answer.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's something each person needs to figure out for themselves based on their own needs and their own situation.
And you made this like really insightful point in your notes. You said that, yeah, an AI can kind of simulate these things like connection and belonging, but it can never really truly replicate them.
Exactly. There's just this depth to human connection that goes way beyond words and algorithms.
Yeah.
It's that shared humanity. you know, that messy, unpredictable, sometimes even challenging part of connecting with another person. That's where the real connection is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI companions, we want to leave you with something to think about. Think about how technology has already changed the way you connect with other people. Has it brought you closer or pushed you further apart?
And as you think about that, think about where AI companions fit into all of this. How do you see them impacting your own life and your own relationships?
It's a tough question, but it's such an important one. The future of connection, both human and AI, it's still being written, and the choices we make right now, they're going to determine what that story looks like. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some new things to think about.